Who's there?
It's okay. I'm an American.
How do I know you're telling the truth?
I guess there's no way to tell for sure. But I don't think I'd be asking so politely if I was an enemy. Thanks. It's getting crazy out there. Private Maxon, third company.
Sergeant Simon, second company.
I guess you're stranded as well. What happened to the rest of your platoon?
You know, I had no idea. There was some kind of guerrilla ambush and it kind of scattered all of us. What about you?
Same here. Well, sort of. I couldn't see where the enemy was coming from, but there were airstrikes hammering the perimeter. I had to get the hell out of there.
Well, damn. They're really putting up a fight.
Yeah, definitely. Who are we fighting, by the way? Back what country are we even in?
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if I've seen who's been attacking.
Yeah, me neither. And come to think of it, how did we even end up in this place? Do you also feel a sense of unease?
Well, sure I do. I mean, it is war.
I don't know, man. Something just feels wrong here. It's all fake. You know, it almost feels like we're in a Kathryn Bigelow movie.
There's truly no filmmaker quite like Kathryn Bigelow. Her style of filmmaking that she's become known for is one that could easily be botched if executed incorrectly. The camera itself often behaves like a bystander to the events taking place in her films. Tripod shots are uncommon in many of her recent works. However, the shaky camera work, rapid cuts, and quick zooms never take me out of the experience because they complement the uneasiness of the characters in her films. While most films employ these techniques to mask a low budget and minimal effort put into the filmmaking, Bigelow uses them as a means to convey a story. Not only does she remain one of the most revered directors in all of Hollywood, but she also holds the title of the first woman to receive an Academy Award for Best Director for her film, The Hurt Locker. Kathryn Bigelow was born on November 27, 1951, in San Carlos, California. Her early interests in visual storytelling were inspired by her father, who dreamt of being a cartoonist but never made a career out of it. She is quoted as saying, "I think part of my interest in art had to do with his yearning for something he could never have." She later began studying painting at the San Francisco Art Institute shortly after graduating high school. In 1972, upon obtaining a scholarship, she moved to New York City to partake in the independent study program at the Whitney Museum of Art. It was around this time that her interests began shifting from painting to film. She felt that film had a larger audience and was more accessible to the masses, so therefore she could use it to convey a message to a far larger number of people. Bigelow's first short film was titled The Setup, which was completed in 1978. This short film would set the stage for the themes present in many of her eventual hit films, as it delved into the philosophy of violence. In 1979, she earned her master's degree in film theory and criticism from Columbia University, then made the transition from short films to feature films. Her next project was The Loveless in 1981, which starred Willem Dafoe and was loosely inspired by the 1954 film The Wild Ones, a film that Bigelow loved. The Loveless, along with her following 1987 film Near Dark, were acclaimed by critics and audiences alike. Near Dark was a particularly unique project amongst Bigelow's filmography, as the story was a neo-Western horror film centered around a cowboy who falls in love with a vampire and must choose between his old life and a new life with his lover and her gang of vampires. After several smaller projects, Bigelow released her first major studio feature in 1989, a film titled Blue Steel, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis as a rookie cop who must clear her name after being framed for the murder of an unarmed man. The film received relatively mixed reviews compared to her other features, as some found the plot to be weak and the violence to be a bit too over the top. Her next film, Point Break, would achieve a far more memorable legacy in her career. The film starred Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze and was centered around an FBI agent attempting to infiltrate a gang of surfers turned bank robbers. James Cameron, the director of the Terminator films, Aliens, and the Avatar films, served as executive producer of the film, and was also Bigelow's husband at the time. Although critics viewed the film as absurd, many found entertainment in its over-the-top filmmaking. The absurdity was what they loved about it. The same year that the film was released, Bigelow's marriage to Cameron came to an end. In 1996, Bigelow served as a screenwriter for a cable television thriller titled Undertow, and would also go on to direct a few episodes of the crime drama Homicide: Life on the Street. Her next big screen project would come in 2000 with a thriller titled The Weight of Water, which starred Catherine McCormick, Sarah Polley, and Sean Penn. However, it was her following project that truly set the standard for the stories Bigelow would choose to tackle throughout her career. The 2002 drama K-19: The Widowmaker starred Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson, and was based on a true historical disaster that occurred on a Russian nuclear submarine. She took a brief hiatus from film to direct episodes of two crime dramas, Karen Sisko and The Inside, which was based on an article by journalist Mark Bowl about FBI agents tracking down serial killers. Bowl became pivotal in Bigelow's career, as they would eventually once again join forces to create one of her most instantly recognizable films yet, The Hurt Locker. Loosely inspired by Bowl's own experiences while covering the Iraq War, The Hurt Locker tells the story of the newly recruited leader of the U.S. Army's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team, Staff Sergeant William James, played excellently by Jeremy Renner. Conflict arises amongst the characters due to James's reckless behavior, despite his impressive track record for defusing bombs. This film was my personal introduction to Bigelow's style: handheld camera work, gritty cinematography, and intentional quick cuts. Although the shaky camera work may turn some audience members away, I found that it perfectly suited the narrative and made me feel as though I was witnessing the events of the war firsthand. If the shots were too stable, I genuinely feel that it could have served as a detriment to the tension of the film. The Hurt Locker received widespread critical acclaim for the tense action sequences and the realism of the depiction of war. The film won multiple awards, which included BAFTA honors for Best Film and Best Director, as well as the monumental achievement for Academy Award for Best Director, an award that Bigelow made history for receiving, as she was the first ever woman director to be recognized for the category. After the powerhouse of a film that was The Hurt Locker, Bigelow moved on to her next historical thriller, Zero Dark 30, for which she would once again team up with Mark Bowl. This time, she tackled the true story of the CIA agent who managed to track down the notorious terrorist Osama bin Laden after a decade-long manhunt that followed the September 11th attacks. The film stars Jessica Chastain as the CIA agent responsible for searching for bin Laden. The film pulls no punches in its portrayal of the CIA's torture and interrogation techniques for suspected terrorists, which some have come to criticize. Although I found the film to be a bit more of a slow burn than The Hurt Locker, I still found it to be a riveting depiction of the unrest caused by the threat of Al-Qaeda, and Jessica Chastain's performance alone makes the film more than worth the watch. Bigelow clearly excels at directing actors, considering the acting has been the strongest part of every film I've seen from her, with this one being a shining example of that. The film received overall positive reviews from critics, despite some seasoned history buffs citing historical inaccuracies, and it garnered both Bigelow and Chastain Golden Globe Award nominations for Director of a Motion Picture and Actress in a Drama Motion Picture, respectively. In the unofficial third entry of what fans have come to refer to as her True Events trilogy, Bigelow released her most recent film, Detroit, in 2017. Serving as a period crime drama, the film takes place during the Detroit riots of 1967 and is centered around one particularly grueling and heart-wrenching police incident at the Algiers Motel that unfortunately received so little attention that the film itself could be viewed as the only true justice shown to the victims of the incident. The film stars Algie Smith, Anthony Mackie, Nathan Davis, and Hannah Murray as motel guests caught in the midst of the inhumane police interrogation, with Will Poulter playing the ruthless police officer leading the interrogation, and John Boyega playing a local security guard who happens to be nearby when the chaos ensues. Detroit, while strangely not as frequently discussed as Bigelow's other historical works, is my personal favorite of her filmography, and undoubtedly one of the best films exploring racial unrest that I have ever seen. Will Poulter's performance was genuinely terrifying, but what was even more terrifying was the fact that the true events depicted in the film only happened a little over 50 years ago. and that the attitudes displayed in the film still somehow exist today. The film made such a lasting impact on me that I continued to think about it for days after seeing it. It received critical acclaim upon its release, although it is most definitely not for everyone, considering its disgustingly realistic portrayal of the racist attitudes that plagued America at the time. The film managed to win the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Independent Motion Picture in 2018. Detroit is the most recent film of Bigelow's filmography, although she is currently at work on a new project that will serve as an adaptation of David Cope's Aurora, which, quote, follows characters who are coping with the collapse of the social order set against a catastrophic worldwide power crisis. Bigelow is also allegedly working on other unrelated projects for Netflix, although titles and plot details are yet to be revealed. Although it has been 6 years since Bigelow's last film, her career has left an undeniable impact on Hollywood, as she's remained one of a handful of directors continuing to pump out original films that are not part of pre-established franchises. As a newly converted Bigelow fan, I personally can't wait to see what she comes up with next.
So what do we do, Sergeant?
Well, it sounds like it's died down a bit out there. Why don't we just go for it?
I don't know, Sarge. You sure about this? Ah, damn it. So I've been thinking, say this is a Kathryn Bigelow movie, why does the budget feel so low?
I mean, it's hard to say, but I guess this checks out. But you ever notice how in Kathryn Bigelow movies that there's always that false sense of peace until inevitably... Who's that? Sniper! Oh, we gotta move! Go, go, go!